All right, so I will be giving you a story of various types, from the basic passive, you just put it and you pray, to the most high tech. Anybody knows what this is? Hot cap, Hotkap. Hot cap, it's a little wax paper, you put it on the plant and you tolerate freezing. You can plant your tomatoes outside a month before the last frost-free date and it'll survive. But it's passive, you control nothing. You just put it and you pray. To something like this, high tunnel, a small tunnel, but the plastic is perforated, so you don't have to worry about opening it and closing it in the morning like you would do here. This is old picture, that's not mine. This is creative, I found it on the internet. This is in Fort Collins, Colorado. He put Christmas lights, and he was the traditional Christmas light, not the LED. They make heat, and there's ways of manipulating the environment, but it's still passive. Are you exactly getting the temperature that you want? No. So you just set it and you hope it works. To cage covers, commercial growers, so you can plant your vegetables early. To a fabric, matted row fabric, whether you use it in the spring or in the fall, you plant early, avoid insect. Lots of ways of controlling the environment. Okay, that's in Lubbock, the same matted row cover. They use them around the cages because they have 60-mile-an-hour wind. So to get the plants, avoid the plants getting sandblasted. Lots of ways. Shade cloth or matted row fabric. There's lots of ways you can plant a month early or over the winter. We are lucky in Texas, we can plant 12 months a year if with a little bit of environmental control, as basic as this, This is an experiment I did when I was in Kentucky, matted row fabric and plastic on a small tunnel. This picture I took in Uruguay, acres and acres of strawberry, and the tunnel are no bigger than this. So you have to bend over to harvest, but they can get a month earlier than anybody else. I have been in places near College Station where they were harvesting in February, strawberries. Not a lot of yield, but enough, and they were getting premium price because they were controlling the environment. I searched, and I know Roman emperor was the first one to lose a mica type of glass in terms of greenhouses, but from what I searched and understood, I think that China has the oldest type of high tunnel, which is a high, thick wall, like 3-foot, 2-foot wall on the north side, and it's a quarter circle, I guess you want to call it, facing the south. You don't get any light. You don't get any. Hello? Oh. So anyway, to trap the heat during the day, and then they roll the mats in the evening, at night. Why is it only cutting for me? It didn't cut for any of the other speakers. Must not like me. Okay, I'll put it here. So they roll these mats at night to trap the heat that accumulated during the day. And in places equivalent to Michigan weather, they can be growing vegetable year-round. And so a little bit more advanced, a little bit more, but still passive. Can you say, I want 72 degrees or 75% humidity or this much light? You can't. All of these are passive. I'm not going to bother you with, you can read all these, but you see from 32 to 43 degree north, they can be growing vegetables that otherwise. So if it's outside, the minimum temperature is between 5 to 14 Fahrenheit. Inside is 41 to 50. A lot of cool season vegetable will grow fine. And soil temperature is also most important. If the soil temperature is above 50, 55, life is existing and roots will continue growing. So, and that is more important. That's why they have been successful. High tunnels, which have become more and more popular in the US, And again, you know the difference between high tunnel and greenhouse? This is a high tunnel. It's just a structure. There's no heating or cooling added. If you add heating or cooling, that's a greenhouse. If it's just the structure, that's a high tunnel. You know, again, you can plant a month early the warm season crops. You can grow right now all the winter season crops, and they will not freeze and grow longer. This is some of our trial with Asian greens. See how uniform they can be. Strawberries, we've done a lot. And these pictures with my colleagues from Lubbock. So if they can have vegetable production in Lubbock with high tunnels, I mean, we made great advances. All right, so now greenhouses, they used to be called the maximum controls that you can get, because you're controlling the temperature. You're trying to cool it. You're trying to heat it. Nowadays, they're average in terms of control. You'll see what's better. And that's a typical greenhouse. You see the water pad, a cooling pad on one end, fans to circulate the air, fans on this end. So they blow the air out, and the water going through the water wall, wet wall, will cause evaporative cooling and will control the temperature. They work great in an area of low humidity. We have them in East Texas, but humidity is 100 degrees. So it's not really very effective. That's why the biggest tomato greenhouse operation is in Marfa, Texas, where it's very low. It's a desert climate, so it's easy to cool and push the humidity out. But if humidity outside is the same as inside, you're just moving and you don't get the big drop in cooling benefit. There's lots of improvement, lots of changes. The most advanced ones now, they have shade cloth on top, above, and there's some space in between them, and they close and open mechanically and to control the amount of light that you can get. So more and more controls and ways to manipulate the environment, but it's still hope. I'll close it to reduce light, and I hope that the temperature will drop. Okay? And here's different pictures, different type. And of course, with that, different styles of hydroponics, whether it's open system, hydroponic, or closed system. But we are getting uniformity, and we are getting tomato in the middle of winter. They taste like cardboard, but hey, people want tomatoes in the middle of winter. Different styles, whether it's traditional spacing or high intensity spacing, and they train them to single stems, remove all the branches, in media or and there's a big industry in trying to sell homeowners all these different designs. They look so cute, and they're pretty, and all this, and they are pretty, but they work best for some crops than others. And so again, showing you different. I like which one I like. I like this one, I think, because you can as the plants get bigger, you can move on the rail here. You can move them. So you can maximize the use of that greenhouse, because when they are small, you can crowd them together, and as the plants get bigger, you can move, separate them, and so they can have more space. So you see there's lots of tricks on how to hydroponic media, soilless media, adding lights, no lights, but it's still what I call passive. Because you really cannot say, I want this temperature, I want this level of CO2. It's not quite controlled environment, Okay, so vertical farm, which means instead of going up in space, became more and more popular, and they started as simple as this, put 3 layers on top of each other, and the middle and bottom one with some lights on them. And some plants, like lettuce, can grow with minimum lights, it does, but not a tomato. So it can work with some herbs, can work with some crops. more and more advances. Now the LED light industry is really big, but we are going to start doing some of the research on that to answer some questions. There are lots of companies producing LED lights, and actually Hort Americas is one of them here, and please visit them. They can know more about that than I'll ever learn. This is what I call maximum controls. What's called in the US, some other countries, indoor vertical farm. In Asia, they call them plant factory. This is maximum control. You want 350 parts per million, you get 350 parts per million. And it's literally indoor. An office building, an abandoned building, an extra room in the hospital, anything indoor, because you control the CO2, control the humidity and temperature with an air condition. The room is insulated. You add the light, so you control the light, you control the temperature, you control the humidity, you control the CO2. And if you practice hygienes, that you can go into that room like you're dressed like a doctor to a surgery, then there's also no diseases, no pesticide to spray, nothing. Okay? Of course, you can imagine the cost, and the biggest cost is electricity. All right? So, but this is maximum control because all of those can be manipulated. And here's a picture of one of them. Of course, you can tell this is old. They're still using fluorescent light. Now it's all LED, but CO2, you know, and lots of research has been done. All of these are not necessary anymore for insect control, shade cloth, heating system, all that is not needed because you're looking at its operation like this. And there's more and more companies, big companies in the US on a large scale, selling. This is a picture I got from Japan. This is a shop, and that is the showcase, and this is the glass where you can see where they produce the greens that they sell at the shop. Of course, Japan, they can afford it, but here you try to sell a $10 head of lettuce, nobody's going to buy it. I don't care if you're starving, nobody's going to buy it. But here is next to a restaurant in Kyoto, Japan. And see, you're in the restaurant here, and that's what you're seeing. Look at this guy, dressed up like going to do a surgery. Lots of LED lights. What I wanted to, again, it can be made so that the harvesting stage people with disabilities can work and be productive. So, I mean, in theory, it's the ideal situation, and I would love it to be the future, but I also hate it to be the future, because if this is the future, it means we screwed up the environment big time. Okay, lots of shops are getting more and more into it. This is Aero Farms in the headquarters in Newark, New Jersey. This is, I mean, look, 12 shelves, whatever, and everything is automated. You need a scissor lift to go up and do what you harvest. And I mean, 2 million pounds per year of lettuce and simple greens like that. We would love to do the research to see what else we can do for beyond leafy greens, something that's more nutritious. I mean, how many lettuce can you eat in a day, and are they that nutritious? They may not taste nutritious, but we want to grow something that, even though it'll taste normal, but it has more antioxidants in it because we added this unique LED light spectrum to it. Okay, so is it the future? We'll see. The biggest expense is, the advantage is that a lot of things can grow in low light conditions. 250 on a full sunny day at noon, you have 2,000. Here, right now, this is probably around 50 or 100. Eyes are very efficient. You think it's very bright, but only few plants that can survive in this. You put a tomato in here, it's not going to survive. There's not enough light. Our eyes are very efficient. You think it's bright, but of course, another limitation, you have to work with small plants. But let me show you the cost. Let me skip this. This is grown and a company from Japan. It says, this translation says, no pesticide is used. Do not wash with tap water to keep clean and fresh. Do not wash. It's clean. It's sanitized. Do not wash. Just open it and eat it. Hopefully you wash your hands first. Okay? Less waste in a vertical farm because there's no waste on it, just cut, and lots of controls. But it's, again, I want to get you to the slide. Look at this here. I mean, it looks like a hospital room, right? A capacity of 10 million plants per year for seedlings, growing seedlings. So uniformity of seedlings is also improved, and you can produce seedlings that can be grown outside a lot faster. So here is a tomato seedling 20 days after seeding. I have never seen, and I grow tomatoes every year. For me, this is at least 4 weeks old. So minimum 30, 35 days, and look at that uniformity, perfect. And definitely better like this a sweet potato, and look how much bigger it is grown. Cut the production period by half, more uniformity. This is in a greenhouse, and this is in the indoor vertical farm. There you see, I mean, that is etiolated, too thin and too tall. You don't want them. Okay, the challenge, but look at where the cost is. 80% heating, labor and electricity. So you have to be big, you have to use solar power, you have to invest big, and then it is possible. Or the price has to be really good. Challenges, acceptance of the price. Can we produce medicinal plants at the, even though it's this big and immature, but you extract the medicine from it much better than grown to reach a full tree size. That is where the future is going to be. Pharmaceutical, and then of course the biggest challenge is initial cost. So is this the future where you can have indoor vertical farm at any place like that? Give me free solar energy, free electricity, and I bet you we can have it everywhere. Right now, electricity, and we are lucky. The U.S. we pay 10 cents a kilowatt. Other countries they pay 50 or $1. So we are still lucky with that.